Welcome, 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 everyone. This is Tracy Wagner with Versatile Inspirations, and today we're going to start on a new series for this month. In this series, what I'm hoping to do is to help you understand or guide you into what spirit sounds like, how you can communicate with spirit. If you're new, sometimes it seems a little daunting. And if you have tried to talk with spirit or hear spirit or sense it, sometimes we try too hard. And I know that sounds like a cop-out, but it's not. It truly is what happens. Sometimes we're just way too busy and we just don't allow ourselves to receive the messages. Sometimes we are trying so hard because we expect it to sound or look a specific way. And so I'm hoping with this series to help you and guide you to understand it is very simple to hear spirit, to sense spirit, to experience spirit. And it's in many different forms. Sometimes some forms are going to be easier for you to be able to use or to work with, to speak with spirit or to get guidance from spirit. Sometimes there's a couple different things. Sometimes you have to come up with your own thing. And I'm going to try and help you decide on what that may be and how you can understand what it may be that will take you to be able to sense and speak with spirit and hear spirit easily and effortlessly. So today is the first in this series. I think there's actually going to be 5 in this series. And so with this one, this is called Spirit's Gentle Whispers. Let me screen share and we'll get started. All right, and like I said, we are going to be diving into learning about how to receive messages from Spirit. And if you've struggled with this, this should be a lot easier for you after we're done. And this is the first in the series, and it is called Spirit's Gentle Whispers. So what are Spirit's whispers? First, they are surprising. They will come out of nowhere, especially once you've tapped in and you know what you're looking for or looking to hear. Then it is sometimes surprising. You may be driving down the road or walking down the street. You may be sleeping. You may be meditating. You may be exercising. You may be walking the dog or sitting watching TV. The one thing that it truly is sometimes is surprising. It can just come out of nowhere. Also, it's gentle. It is not going to be just huge. It's not going to be aggressive or just hard. It's going to be very, very gentle because it's coming from the divine. It's coming from spirit. Sometimes certain things happen that make it feel like it's not gentle, but like it's more of a kick in the pants. But that is just the universe's way of letting you know that, hey, you need to listen to this. And so when you get those really strong messages, they are still going to be gentle so that you can understand it, but it's going to be kind of shocking, surprising at times. It's also, especially in the beginning, it's going to be quiet. If you've heard of the angel's wings just gliding, that is just how it feels. It feels very quiet. It feels almost like a whisper. And so when you start out, don't expect it to be loud and boisterous. Expect to hear those gentle whispers that come through, because that is where we're going to hear more, be more clairaudient in our approaches with spirit, when we can understand that when we're quiet, then we're going to be able to hear those whispers, those spirit winks. We're going to be able to hear those a lot easier. Sometimes, especially once you're tapped in and once you're open and you know what it is that you're looking for or waiting to hear or see, then you're going to probably hear, see, and know so much easier, and it'll just be surprising to you how many times that you may have missed them just because we get so wrapped up or because we just didn't know what to look for. And that's okay. When there's no time like the present to really be able to tap in and harness this. It's our divine guidance. It is there for us to help us and to guide us along our journey here. And so when we tap into those spirit whispers, it's a lot easier for us to move through life and move through our soul's journey easily and effortlessly. So receiving divine messages, there are so many ways, and trust me, you will probably develop something that is unique to you. You may use a combination of these things, or you may come up with something on your own. And this is not it. This is just some of the ways that you may have heard how you can communicate and receive those divine messages. So any of these, all of these, and oh my gosh, there's so many different ways. So the first are the clairs. I want to talk about the clairs with you because some people believe there's only like 4 or 5, and I know of about 8 of them. I'm not going to go into them in detail because I do have some videos, and I'll leave the links on that to discuss the clairs. But the main ones are clear seeing, clear hearing, clear knowing, and clear feeling. And so when we tap into our abilities for the clairs, now when I say that, trust and believe me that you don't just have one of the clairs. You have all of them. They're your divine right. They are ways in which the divine is connected to you and you're connected to the divine, your spirit, your energy. And as such, you have all of the clairs that there are, and some of them may be a little easier for you, and that's fine. And you can choose to really tap into just those specific clairs, or you can open up and try and just gain more access to some of your other clairs that may not be as prominent, but they can be, trust me. So the next is your intuition. Now, say your intuition isn't exactly being psychic and your intuition isn't exactly being a medium, but I've kind of put those all together because with your intuition, when you tap into that, you'll probably find that the psychic aspect and the mediumship will actually grow as well, just because they kind of seem to be tied in together. Now, they are similar to the clairs because you'll probably, with your intuition, you may get that feeling or you may get like messages coming to you audibly. And this is your guidance to experiencing the world around you. Now, as a psychic, what you're doing is you are able to tap into to get knowledge about yourself or other people. And as a medium, what you're able to do is speak to spirit. So as I'm talking about these receiving divine messages, just know that you have all of these ways that you're able to communicate and receive messages. It's just some of them are going to be more pronounced than others, but you can work on it and you can gain more knowledge in that. So even by just using your intuition, you are going to be able to tap into those divine messages. Pendulums. Pendulums are an easy way for the energy to get to you and for you to be able to decipher some of the messages. And now, if you've ever used a pendulum, they're very easy to use. They are a lot of times a gemstone. So this is rose quartz. And so it doesn't matter what it is. I actually started out, which was really helpful for me, with just this little acorn wooden pendulum. And let me tell you, these things can spin quick. They are beautiful conduits for energy, and they will give you some beautifully accurate, they're really inexpensive too. They're fabulous. And so these actually, for my intuition classes and stuff, these are what I give out because they are easy to use. Everybody can use them. And it's just easy and effortless to be able to get information from them. Now, when you want to go with a little bit more like this rose quartz pendulum, I just go in and into a rock and gem store. Most of them have them. And I just see which ones I'm called to or calling to me. And those are the ones that I usually go and get. And they're just really easy to use. You just use them and ask questions. Sometimes you can have a board, and the board actually has yes, no, and maybe some other things, whether you're looking for health answers or relationship or career, then you can have a board that actually can tell you, or you can just do yes and no, and you can ask it to spin a certain way for yes and a different way for no, or different ways. Pendulums are wonderful tools. Signs and symbols. This is something a lot of people are talking about now, especially with signs and symbols as far as numerology or even just the repetitive numbers. If you look and you are always seeing 103 on the clock when you look up, look and see what 103 means. Or what does 103 mean to you? Is that a time when maybe your youngest child was born, or maybe 103, maybe that's January 3rd, and maybe that's your sister's birthday, which it just happens to be my sister's birthday. So there could be a lot of signs and symbols out there. Now, also with signs and symbols, as far as what happens if something just pops into your head, maybe a beach scene pops into your head. This could be a sign or a symbol that you need to take it easy. You need to go to the beach and just relax. What does the beach mean to you? And if that pops into your mind, think about it for a second and acknowledge that it came to you for a reason. We don't get our thoughts and ideas for no reason whatsoever. There's a reason for them. And a lot of times it's spirit or your spirit team, the divine messages coming to you to try and guide you to something or try to get you to understand something. So be open to those signs and symbols, whether they're numbers or words or locations or just a picture flashes. Just be aware that those are divine messages coming to you for a reason. Channeling. This is something this month I actually, in my newsletter, when I did the reading, this came up so often with the cards when I was doing the readings. It was crazy. Now, I call it mind dumping at times, just so that people understand it. It's a little more accepted that, you know, when you mind dump or you brain dump your ideas onto a piece of paper, then what you're really kind of doing is you're channeling. You're allowing thoughts and ideas to come into your mind and getting them out on paper. You're just allowing spirit and the divine messages to be channeled through you, and you can just write it all down. Some people can channel whole books. If you sit down and you want to channel a book, that's great. When you first start off, you may want to set a timer for 3 to 5 minutes and just write down everything and anything that comes. And this is not a judgment time. This is a time just to get everything out into the open and just channel that. Now, some people like Sylvia Brown, she considered herself a channeler. So, and she typically said that when she channeled these other entities, what she would do is she would actually just see herself on a park bench, and she would sit there and wait until the entity that was inside her body, that was being channeled into her body, got its message out. Once this entity got its message out and everything, then it would go back into spirit, and then it would let her know that, hey, your body's ready for you to be occupied again. I'm not looking at that necessarily because that's a big deal. that's a whole different subject than what I'm talking about, although it is still channeling. It's just a different form. And for beginners, what it's easiest to do to channel is just do a brain dumping or a mind dumping session and just getting that all out on paper. All right, and let's see. Cards. This is one of my favorite topics because cards really, there's just a connection with the cards. I find it's very easy. Some people don't like cards, and with the cards, what I'm talking about are tarot or oracle card decks. Some people don't like them because that form of divination just kind of scares some people, especially people that have grown up in a very fundamentalist or a very a very religious household. I'll put it that way. Some people just do not want to even, it scares them. And I understand that completely and totally. But if you are willing to try them out, they can help you in so many different ways. I've heard of some wonderful stories of how they've helped people. And I love working with the cards when I work with people because it really helps to tap into not only my spirit team, but also other people's spirit teams. And whether that person is in the room with me or around the world, I can still use the cards to get messages, which are pretty much, if you know your cards or if you have a handbook that goes along with your cards, it is so easy because there's so many different ways in which to use the cards to get answers. It's just a fabulous way. But like I said, these are only just some of the ways that you can actually get messages from the divine. There's tons and tons and tons of different ways. These are just some of the major ways that you may have heard of. So I just wanted to bring them to your attention. So now that we've talked about how you're going to receive it, who are you going to be hearing from? There again, just like there are so many tools that you can use in your spiritual toolbox that will help you get the messages and deliver messages to spirit, there's also a plethora of people who are just willing and waiting to chat with you and give you those messages. Some of them include your angels and your guides, the ascended masters, Jesus, Mother Mary, Buddha, all of these and more. And the archangels, Michael and Raphael and Jophiel, are all there helping. They're all kind of like, if you're doing a play, all the people in the background, they're doing a lot of things. They may not be front and center on the stage, but they're in the background doing things for you or for the cast. Same to our spirit team, and that includes those in spirit, archangels, ascended masters, and all of those people. They're there just willing and waiting to hear from you, to know that you're open and you're allowing for them to come through and give you messages. Nature is a wonderful way for the divine to give you messages. A lot of times, these are going to be signs and symbols, but you can also talk with the animals, you can talk with the trees and the plants and the flowers. It's just a wonderful way to hear from the divine as well. And with nature, you have the opportunity to chat with and be able to get messages from different earth angels, different earth beings like the fairies and the unicorns and the gnomes and brownies and just so many different beings. They're all beings of light and they're all waiting to give you messages. All you have to do is listen. And anyone else that is connected to you energetically, that would be deceased loved ones, those that have crossed over into spirit, those that haven't been born yet, or that may be just your guides, not angels, but guides. You have spirit guides, and these are people that when you were in heaven, I'll say, when you were in spirit, you actually had someone or appointed someone to be your guide. And when you did that, they said, okay, I'll stay here in spirit and I will guide you. Also, your higher self is in spirit. Your spirit self is in spirit. And to me, these are called twin flames. Your spirit self and your soul self, when they combine back into spirit to be your divine self, become the twin flame. There are twos come into one. So to me, that's what a twin flame is. And you can speak to your higher self. I know a lot of people that actually, that's how they get their guidance. They ask for their higher self to give them guidance. That higher self is your spirit self. That is your spirit self that is still in spirit. There are just so many ways to get and receive messages, and from so many different people, places, and things. It's just amazing and wonderful to be able to do that. So I just want you to know that if you're open and you believe that you can receive the messages, you will receive them. You most definitely will, because this is your birthright. This is your divine right. You have been gifted with all of these different ways in which to communicate with spirit, because that's who you truly are. You are a spiritual being here, just being able to experience life as a human. So when you do, just know, be open, and believe, and then you will receive. Wonderful. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate it. I hope you got a little bit of an idea of what you can try to actually be able to communicate and receive messages from spirit. And listen for those spirit whispers. Remember, they're gentle and quiet. And I just hope that you try it out sometime. You'll be surprised, I think, of what you can get from them in spirit. Have a wonderful day, and as always, I'm sending you and yours love, light, and eternal blessings. Take care.